we've had British courts protecting the rights of British people or English people going back before the Union, and Scottish courts for hundreds and hundreds of years. Habeas corpus is not based on a human rights act.
I'm going to pause this discussion, and actually we're going to go back to what you were saying a little bit earlier, Stella, in terms of your thoughts about the Queen's health. Liz Truss, the Prime Minister, has tweeted this: "The whole country will be deeply concerned by the news from Buckingham Palace this lunchtime. My thoughts and the thoughts of people across our United Kingdom are with Her Majesty the Queen and her family at this time." This follows the Speaker of the House of Commons interrupting the debate to update MPs on the health of the Queen. This statement from Buckingham Palace has been published saying, "Following further evaluation this morning, the Queen's doctors are concerned for Her Majesty's health and have recommended she remain under medical supervision. The Queen remains comfortable and at Balmoral." Obviously, this is a very serious state of affairs. It's a very serious statement, the fact that the House has been updated in terms of the Queen's health. She is 96. As I said, we saw her, images of her meeting the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, but clearly this is going to be a major focus.
I think so, and it's incredibly worrying that they felt the need to pause that Commons debate and inform the House of that. You look at that statement there from Buckingham Palace, and I think it is incredibly concerning that they felt the need to put this out at this moment in time.
Right. I mean, Ed, obviously, everybody now is going to want to be able to get the latest updates when it comes to...
Yeah, I mean, I think John is absolutely right. I mean, we've had, the Queen has had health problems for a while, but it's unprecedented for the Speaker to interrupt what was a very important statement on energy to give the House an update on the Queen's health. I don't think he would have done that lightly.
No.
He will know, I'm sure his office will know that the statement put out by Buckingham Palace, although it's pretty relatively bland, and I'm not criticising them for that, is clearly there is something more behind this, and it is a very serious moment of concern. And I think Liz Truss is right, as I'm sure Keir Starmer is putting out a statement as well, that the whole nation, I feel emotional about it, the whole nation will feel emotional about this. We wish the Queen well, but we know that a statement like that from the Speaker would not be made lightly.
No, absolutely. And also, we are hearing and we understand that there is a statement coming from Clarence House. The Prince of Wales, the Duchess of Cornwall are apparently now travelling up to Balmoral. In a few moments' time, I think we can talk to the BBC's political editor, Chris Mason, and we'll talk to him as soon as we have the latest in terms of the Queen and her state of health. But as the Prime Minister said, the whole country will be deeply concerned by the news from Buckingham Palace this lunchtime. She said, "My thoughts and the thoughts of people across our United Kingdom are with Her Majesty the Queen and her family at this time." I think we can now actually play the full statement from the Speaker, Lindsay Hoyle, which we didn't have completely a little earlier. Let's have a listen.
I wish to say something about the announcement which has just been made about Her Majesty. I know I speak on behalf of the entire House when I say that we send our best wishes to Her Majesty the Queen and that she and the royal family are in our thoughts and prayers at this moment. I'm going to take no more, if there is anything else, we will update the House accordingly. Thank you.
Stella, as you said, you wanted to say personally that your thoughts are with the Queen. She is 96 years old. She has, we knew, mobility issues. She has, of course, come through the COVID pandemic as well as world wars, and she is somebody who is unbelievably stoic. But there will be deep concern following particularly the statement from Buckingham Palace and now the news that we know that the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall are travelling up to Balmoral.
Yeah, and look, I think obviously she's been a public figure in all of our lives for generations, but actually I think at these times, first and foremost, she's a grandmother, a great-grandmother, a mother. Like, I think of it if it was a member of my family and what I would think if I was seeing people talking about it on television. And I just feel we all need to be very respectful that nobody really knows quite what is happening. But above all, we hope that the doctors are with her and she's getting the treatment and the support that she needs, because of her family, because actually, as I say, if it was a member of my family, I would want first and foremost to be able to be with them.
Right, and the political reaction, of course, Liz Truss, only a few days into the role as Prime Minister, and will now be constantly updated on what is going on. I think we will be able to show you in a moment some of the images from her meeting Liz Truss a few days ago. But yes, this will be first and foremost, won't it, in people's minds?
Oh, exactly. I think that's why you've seen Liz Truss come out immediately with that statement. As Ed says, I'm sure that Sir Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, will be doing the same. And just like everyone around the country, MPs are normal people. They just feel very moved and concerned about this. And as Stella said, you know, the Queen has been there for almost everyone in this country through our whole lives. She's been there in the good times, the bad times. She was there at the Olympics in 2012. She was there in the pandemic. You know, you think back to the pandemic, that address to that nation when she said, we will meet again. I mean, all of our emotions were raised at that point in time. It was a very difficult moment, but I did just find that such a poignant and moving statement at the time. She gets these things word perfect. I think that's exactly what the country needed in that moment in time.
Yes, well, let me just read for viewers who may be just joining us a statement from Buckingham Palace, which was obviously what was fed into Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House of Commons, when he interrupted the debate, to say that following further evaluation this morning, the Queen's doctors are concerned for Her Majesty's health and have recommended she remain under medical supervision. The Queen remains comfortable and at Balmoral. And of course, she stayed at Balmoral instead of coming down to Buckingham Palace, which she normally would have done for a handover of power from Boris Johnson to Liz Truss. But they, in fact, travelled up to see her, and we saw those images of her meeting Liz Truss there. Let's talk to our political correspondent, Layla Nathu. She is in Central Lobby. Tell us what's happening there, because we saw Liz Truss leave the Commons chamber, the Prime Minister, presumably having been told this news.
Yeah, there was some indication that there was something afoot when Liz Truss was passed a note or whispered in her ear by Nadhim Zahawi, came and said something to Liz Truss. Angela Rayner also seemed to get a similar briefing for the Labour side. So there was some activity in the Commons in the middle of the kind of cut and thrust of the debate over the energy price guarantee that had just been announced that suggested there was something going on. Then, of course, we had the statement from Buckingham Palace, and then you heard the statement from Sir Lindsay Hoyle there, which he made in the Commons. Now, we've had a statement from the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer. Liz Truss, as you've been saying, has already made her statement. Keir Starmer has said, along with the rest of the country, I am deeply worried by the news from Buckingham Palace this afternoon. My thoughts are with Her Majesty the Queen and her family at this time, and I join everyone across the United Kingdom in hoping for her recovery. So the two party leaders sending their thoughts to the Queen and her family this lunchtime as the Commons was interrupted by that news.
Yeah, and politicians from across the House will no doubt be concerned. It'll be probably the whole conversation in Central Lobby and throughout the Palace of Westminster in terms of trying to find out or keep up with the state of the Queen's health.
Absolutely. You get the sense that just how things come to a halt when news like this is heard. And you saw that in the middle of the debate. This was, remember, the defining policy of Liz Truss's first days in government. That was going to be the conversation today, and immediately in the middle of that, this activity and then thoughts and attention rapidly focusing elsewhere. So yes, I imagine as MPs start to filter out, everyone waiting eagerly for news on the latest updates, but certainly now the priority for the two parties is to wait and hear the latest from Buckingham Palace and then see what happens next.
Layla Nathu there at Central Lobby, BBC political correspondent. Thank you very much. And as Layla was saying, Liz Truss left the chamber of the House of Commons, and she was in the middle of her statement about energy bills, but obviously says that she shares the concerns of the whole nation about the Queen's health following that statement from Buckingham Palace. Thank you to all of my guests for joining me here today. And of course, if there are any developments, they'll be on BBC News. Bye-bye.